Because what I had was somebody deleted, you know, the calling list from his phone. If I can remember, I stand to be corrected, right? So are we very clear? Do we have any evidentiary, you know, document that says Safaricom was enrolled and somebody went to Safaricom to delete this particular, you know, a calling list? Because they said somebody deleted from the calling list from his phone, right? So that I want to be very sure. You said it, Bonny Khalwale, you need to clarify.
Thank you very much. I think I can afford to want to clarify.
Please.
Because Kenei, many people think I know Kenei because of my friendship with Deputy President Ruto. No. I knew Kenei before Deputy President knew Kenei. One, the Kenei we are talking about was born at the same time with my son Tigana Khalwale. So I always called him my son. And Kenei, we got him in 2009 when Honorable Soita was a minister and he was looking for a good cop. And we got a very nice young Kalenjin boy, and he got that job. And because Soita and I, we used to go to Kakamega in a convoy. Sometimes Soita, who liked moving with his constituents, his car would be full of his people, and then my car and my bodyguard and Kenei, we would be trailing them. So we worked with this boy for a long time, and when Soita lost his seat, then Soita introduced him to the deputy president. I know Kenei very well. In fact, if you open this phone, the last conversation between me and Kenei, we were so personal that he sent me in the morning, the last conversation on this phone, that, hey, Governor, he used to call me Governor, Governor, last night I dreamt about you. It is here. So we are that close, and this is why we are demanding that the DCI does a better job. Now to answer you. There are three things which the DCI has told Kenyans. The first one is that 3 people went into Kenei's house and killed him. He's told us, we didn't know. He has also told us himself that somebody in Safaricom assisted in flashing out data.
Where did he say this? This is what I'm struggling to.
I think it's even in the papers.
I stand to be corrected. Is it
there?
Which record?
Please.
There is the standard.
You'll open it when
Thanks. Continue.
He has told us number 2. Number 3, he has told us that he has got 2 foreigners, Rashid Echesa, and some fake generals. Then he has told us that he has documents that are purportedly from DOD signed. Based on these 3 findings, he can choose to arrest us or intimidate us or do what he wants, but we shall keep on asking him, since you know these 3 people, why have you not arrested them, told us their names, and charged them?
All right.
Number 2.
Before you go to number 2, because Aaron has given me that particular, you know, paper just to see. You know,
I will continue.
The caption, you will continue.
Oh.
The caption reads a mobile phone data provider, right? It's not very specific, unless there's a specificity inside the daily that I've not seen. So can we be very cautious?
From his phone, not from the mobile data provider.
Yeah, from his phone.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying from his phone.
Yeah,
right. Not from the mobile service provider.
No, I mean, that's his phone.
Yes.
Okay. Just continue.
Look,
yes.
Deleting data from a phone, it is something which can only be achieved by the people who control the data that goes in and that comes out. So let's not go into that debate.
But
let's talk about.
We need to clarify, because you mentioning a company here that is not actually verified that it is the company. It's just saying a mobile data.
Okay, it could
provider.
be Safaricom, it could be Airtel.
Let's leave it at that.
Let me read for you so that you guys don't get confused.
Please.
This is a headline of I think the Star that week. It says that strangers were in police officer's house in Nairobi, Villafranca Estate, when he was killed, that they liaised with an employee of a mobile service provider to clear data from his phone.
Clear data from his phone. Yes,
so it could be Safaricom, it could be
yes,
Airtel.
we don't know. We need to clarify that. It's very important.
Or even Orange.
Thank you.
So now, the good DCI, and we are insisting is that both the mobile provider's employee and the 3 people that he has information that came to that house be named, arrested, and charged. And then these 2 foreigners, those Wazungus, he should tell us categorically who are they, how did they enter into this country, under what permit? Were they tourists? Were they hitmen? Were they mercenaries? Were they business people? And if they are business people, do they have a history of dealing in the business of selling firearms? Finally, and don't cut me on this one.
Okay.
The DCI has carefully avoided to speak to the word Department of Defense, DOD. For God's sake, they even have told us that they arrested a chaser with documents that are purported to have come from DOD. So why is he not telling us why he has not taken the investigations to DOD for him to tell us that he has since established that those were fake documents? Those documents are signed. He could help to tell us who signed those documents at DOD, or tell us the denial of DOD about the signing of these documents. And then finally, why he can't run away from this question of DOD is because the office of the Deputy President does not procure for the government of Kenya on matters arms. The procurement of arms is a preserve of DOD. Why is he not concentrating there? He wants to do that which is politically correct, i.e. try and connect the Deputy President. This does not mean we are using the DCI as a punch bag. We are asking to own up the things he has been telling Kenyans. In fact, what we're asking is that the things he's saying in press conferences, he should say them in a court of law. When he tells the country that Rashid and these 2 white people were in that place for 1 hour and 22 minutes, and yet the footage that he has given us actually shows Rashid enter with those people and come out within 23 minutes. Is he not trying to drive a particular narrative that is 1 hour, 22 minutes, when actually what we see as Kenyans, it is 23 minutes?
Right, thank you.
And Mheshimiwa Otiende, you're being unfair to the Deputy President. I think be fair to him. It's just a Kenyan like you. Why do you ask him to resign? Resign for what? You are giving us the example of Jaramogi. Yes, Jaramogi did a heroic thing and resigned. But Jaramogi was appointed as a Vice President. Deputy President has been elected.
Thank you.
Elected members of Parliament.
Thank you, Bonny Khalwale.
Elected leaders are removed.
Thank you.
The difference?
The difference is huge.
It's a world of a difference.
It's a world of a difference.
Voluntary. It does not depend on how you get there.
All right.
No,
thank
you're just
celebrating
just
just a moment, Bonny Khalwale.
You'll get it.
Thank you, Sally. And I think also on that or not, because the Standard also has carried that particular information. DCI on the spot over Kenei's last call records, it says that telcos says logs information kept for up to 3 years, as experts discount Kinoti claim that officers' handset information was deleted. That is inside the Standard page 6 of the Standard today. Let's continue with this, Sally.
I think Dibal, for a while back there, I had been having some doubts whether I was right to seriously campaign against Jubilee in 2013 and 2017. But what's going on now gives me strength. I was right. I was right. These fellows can't even handle an investigation.
That's right.
Because this is about forensics. What happened to the forensics? They have spent so much money purportedly putting up a forensic laboratory and things like that. And in any case, I don't know whether we are going about it the right way, because we are virtually doing an inquiry, public inquiry, but there's been no court whatever to open up a public inquiry, so that we can have a public inquiry and start throwing these things and put it in public and say this and that. We have not had that process done to start a public inquiry on the death of this sergeant. I think it is this cloak and dagger kind of politics that we are dealing with now is toxic for the country, and I think it's time now for the investigative arms, for the relevant arms of government, to come out clearly and state what are we doing here, because we cannot do this through media, through what. I don't think that's right. Because an investigation of this nature, because remember, what happened is very unique. I don't think Kenya has ever undergone such an issue, that some people walk into the deputy president's office purportedly to do some arms deal, then they are arrested just outside, then soon after somebody who let them in is killed. I mean, this is a very unique thing, and I'm not going to blame the deputy president for his reaction, because this is a very unique occurrence.
Exactly.
I think if any of us were in that position, I don't know how we'll react. Like if it was me, I don't know how I would react, whether I would fire back the way the deputy president is firing back, or what I would do, because this is a very unique thing. So we must handle it in a very unique way as a country.
Right.
The way we are going about it.
Just a
No,
moment.
you had your chance.
We'll just continue. Just a moment. Let him have his head. Please let him finish.
You had your chance.
Oh, I thought you had finished. Sorry.
I think what we are doing here, as he mentioned about Jaramogi resigning and so on, those were those days when communication was very difficult. You didn't have mobile phones. You didn't have all those things. And you could do something silly east of this country, and by the time the West gets to know about it, it's taken so long.
Thank you,
but
sir.
now it's instant. So we must operate in the current scenario, where this country is.
I
don't think the way we are handling
No.
the way we are handling
Yeah, we
Kenei
will. Bonny
is the
Khalwale,
right
we need to
way.
give Kimani Watangi and Jacob their share of time. No, you will. Thanks. Kimani Watangi.
Thank you, Dibal. Dibal, as I make my comments, I think it's important that we be conscious that that this is a matter that is in court. So some of the comments that we make should be reserved to that extent. Number two,
but in due respect to sub judice officer, we're not really discussing the merits of
yes,
the case.
I'm aware.
It's an investigation.
Number two is that let's remember, and I think we need to take a deep breath to remember that Kenei was somebody's son. Kenei is somebody's brother. And remember, Kenei was somebody's husband. And I don't know whether, I'm sure most of us watched that funeral. We all get affected differently by how people react to certain situations. But I don't know whether you saw the tears of that woman, the wife, and the 3 children. And that's the situation that we're talking about. Sometimes I ask myself when we discuss this kind of matter, supposing that was my brother, and that's the same question that everybody here would ask themselves. Suppose that was your brother. How would you react to would you say the things that you're saying this morning? And that's why I would just want to appeal really to the investigative process. Whoever is investigating this, the DCI and all the agencies, that don't do it for everyone else, do it for the children and for that wife and for that family, and get down with the truth and let us know precisely what happened to Kenei. So that Dibal, at the end of the day, we can have some sort of beginning to open up and end this process. What's most frustrating, especially to most of us, is this: that to the reality of the saying that life is so fickle, it has become so fickle that you can imagine that somebody like Kenei, and many of us, Kenyans that at that level, that we just become pawns in a game of kings and queens. That your life is just that useless. That somebody can push this and that, as long as it's just part of a big play, of big shots. And it is really very frustrating. You heard all the names that have been mentioned there by Otiende Amolo, all of us have, and we have had a discussion about all those individuals on this panel. Remember about Yebe, we spoke about here, we spoke about Sando, we spoke about all of us here, and just comes and goes. But when you open your TV set in the evening or when you're free to ball, and many Kenyans do, and you go to channels like Discovery, like what, and then you watch breakthrough stories of how murderers who committed crimes were cracked up and the bottom of the story gotten into, and it becomes, so this can be done using forensics and so on. And you see that at least criminals cannot have a heyday And that's the hope you get. But when shall we get to this in Kenya? You know, this is my question. And that reminds me so passionately in my mind and in my heart. The late Kenneth Okoth, when we sat with him here sometimes over a debate, and he was trying to tell us the merits of his bill, coroner's bill, which up to today has never seen the light of day. And to him, this is what he thought, that one day we can get an open, that it is not just okay, that my friend, the late Honorable Muchai, would be killed just here, a few meters from here, completely under CCTV, and shot dead with 3 other people instantly, and that chapter closes and nobody ever says a word, and the children continue to suffer, and it becomes an agony for life. That now, this story of Kenei is just simply another statistic. We are going to argue about it. Can you imagine, Dibal and any Kenyan watching this morning, that your own son, that your own brother becomes an argument about who was that on CCTV, who was there, who did what? I mean, come on. You know, we must have, and I want to urge the DCI that because they, in the interview they held there, they made promises. When they were asked questions by journalists, they said, no, we are going to come up and give you the story. We know this is a murder. At least that one they already owned up to. They said this is a murder. I think that the now is agreed upon by everybody, that this was a murder, not a suicide. And when they were asked so many questions, who was involved, they said, we are going, I hope that this comes very, very soon.
Thank you.
So that there is closure to this.
Thank you.
At the end of the day, Diban, we must start to see a new reality in this country, whereby, for me as Wamatangi, it is safe to know that in my smallness, in the big game of power, that somewhere I am safe, that my life means something. You get what I mean? That you just don't live around and looking over your shoulder, knowing that you can get hit the following minute, and then you just become an argument on AM Live. That you know, Matangi was walking here, he crossed the street, he entered there, who was that guy who was looking like Jacoyo Midiwo, you know, and then that story ends. And yet, it has been committed. There is possibility of bringing it to closure and to truth. Let's get these guys, whoever they are. And the DCI should do that immediately.
Right, and you mentioned also the National Coroner's Service. It's an act right now, right? It's not even a bill. It's been, it's an act. And I think this is where the parliamentarians also, you fail us, because this coroner, we have an independent coroner who's supposed actually now to be doing this forensic work as it is right now. If we do not really,
you need to differentiate the way you're pronouncing it as corona. Corona. It's not corona. You're pronouncing it to sound like the virus. It's corona.
Yeah, it is corona.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. In this age of coronavirus, it's important to differentiate that we don't have an act.
No, it also depends on the school you went to.
The coroner's bill. All right.